Our next guest on the couch is one of our big characters around. Tom's at Cranebrook. He's been with us for the best part of 20 years. It's Damo Crenendonk. Damo, welcome to On the Couch.
Yeah, great to have me, Adam. Great to be finally here on the couch, mate. Thanks for the invite.
Mate, you are one of our big characters, as I said. Is it true that your twin brother is Peter Garrett?
No, unfortunately, yes, and I can actually dance like him too, so yeah.
I'm not going to go there tonight. Mate, we've made jokes with you. You're tall, you're lanky, you do look like Peter Garrett, you're heaps of fun. But one of the things that sometimes gets missed is you're a guy with a big heart. Tell us a bit about your background. How did that big heart for people develop?
Yeah. So for people that may not know me, so Damien is my name. I don't actually get called that very often. Married to Christine, with 3 children, Emily, Daniel and Faith. And been part of the furniture here for 20 odd years. I think when we talk about heart, it's I think when I look at my parents, I think my mum and dad, when I was younger, always treated us very, very well. We came from a pretty loving family, and I think it's just transferred into who I am, and I think that's who I am.
Now, you grew up south of the border?
Well, actually, I was born in Gosford on the Central Coast, so Gosford Hospital, and lived there for about 18 months, and then moved down to Melbourne for 13 years, and got to understand the VFL, and then we moved there from there when I was 13, and moved up to Port Macquarie, and I did my high schooling up in Port Macquarie, and I left there in 1991 after I did my HSC.
And headed to Sydney at that time?
Yes.
And what did you do when you got down to Sydney?
Yeah, so I actually got a job working in Grace Brothers, actually, as a storeman, and that gave me an opportunity, I guess, to understand, I guess, real life work in a big department store. But little did I know that that's where I would meet the love of my life, and that's where I met Christine. She worked in the women's ladies fashions, and so that's where we sort of formed a good friendship, I guess.
So Grace Brothers at?
So in the city, so in George Street, and then later on I went to the Macquarie store at North Ryde.
And somewhere from storeman, you ended up in sales? Yeah,
so I actually got to started a career at Smith Snack Foods, so driving a 5-ton truck around Sydney. That gave me a really good introduction into what they call the FMCG industry, fast-moving consumer goods. I got sick of chips after a while, and then I moved into the world of Streets ice cream, where I spent the best of 8 years and progressed my way into different management type roles.
Yep. Now, mate, one of the things I like to stir you up about is you're the man of 20 questions. It doesn't matter where you are, you'll sit down, and I think this is part of your big heart. You start asking questions. Did the salesman come first, or the 20 questions come first?
No, I think definitely the 20 questions started, and it probably started back when I was probably around 6 or 7 years of age. My uncle, who recently, quite a number of years ago, passed away, and he was actually watching the Bathurst races, and I wanted to sort of know a little bit more about the races, and I just was asking different questions, and he actually turned to me, and I still remember this. He said, "Gee, for a little bloke, you ask a lot of questions," and so obviously that has stuck with me. And then when I've moved into the sales field, being able to ask questions of people to find out a little bit about their store requirements, that's why I ask the questions I do. But you got to ask more than 2 or 3.
So and away you go. Once you get started, you get on a roll.
Yeah.
So you're not the sort of guy that'll just sit quietly at a party in the corner and observe. You'll just start talking to people.
No, I think I think there would be people that have known me for a lot of years that know that I certainly don't do that. I think to get to know people, you need to be able to find out a number of things about them. So it might be a series of 10 or 20 questions, maybe even 30 or 40, depending on how you go. So
what's one of the most interesting characters you've come across in your days?
In the sales field?
Yeah, in the sales field. Yeah.
Oh, look, I've come across plenty, and I certainly can't probably pick one, but it's I don't know. I think when I look at the types of people, I think I could probably rattle for a couple of stories, but I can't probably think of anything specific.
Rattle a story. Love a story on the couch.
Look, I remember when I was working at Streets and I was negotiating a deal with a customer, and they wanted a particular discount, and I said to them that we could not give a discount, and they said, why not? And I said, well, it's a bit like me going into your store and asking for free bread. And then they said to me, so you're asking me for free bread, you need to get out of this store right now. And I said, wow, okay. And so my boss got contacted, and I had to sort of explain that, no, I never asked for free bread. I was just explaining a situation.
That you didn't quite understand.
No, yeah.
What is it you love about people?
I find people interesting. I guess as a psychologist, I should have been a psychologist, I guess, but I'm interested in what makes them tick. Everyone's got a story, and I'm intrigued of what sort of makes them tick, what's their interests, where they come from. I think being part of St Tom's, I've been able to understand who these people are, who I church with, and it's been through building relationships, and I value relationships, and I think that's why I've got a big heart for people.
Yeah. So, been a Christian all your life?
No, so I have been a Christian, for 20 years, so pretty much on when I turned 20, so 28 years of age. And I actually grew up in a non-Christian household.
Yeah.
Mum and Dad took me to Sunday school and the good morals type scenario, but didn't know anything more than just some of the Bible stories.
Yep. And when did when did it move beyond Bible stories for you? Obviously, when you were 28, but
it was definitely when I actually walked into this building here. I actually was invited to come to a program called LifeWorks, and that gave me, I guess, a really good understanding in a non-threatening environment to ask a lot of questions, and I was able to ask those questions that were probably burning for me for a lot of years.
So what sort of questions were burning for you? Did you have that were floating around for someone with a bit of Sunday school scripture type background?
Yeah, just who was Jesus? Why did he die? And what did it mean for me? For me it was just I just wanted to know what was the relevance, I guess, for him dying.
Yeah.
And I didn't sort of understand that, so I wanted to understand that, and for me to do that, I needed to go back to the basics of Christianity and understand why Jesus had to die.
Yep.
For my sins.
How long did it take you from sort of walking in that first night at LifeWorks to saying, throwing in your lot and saying, Jesus, I'm yours.
Yeah.
Please forgive me. I'm going to follow you the rest of my life.
Yeah. Look, it wasn't straight away, and I think for me I was very thankful for the relationships that I actually built with people in the church very early on. I'd say it was probably a good 9 to 12 months, and when I talked about the relationships, I think people were able to get alongside me, took me under their wing, and I'm very thankful to God for that.
Yeah.
Certainly making that easy. for me, there was no judgment there. They got me involved in driving buggies and getting out, out to people's properties and, just hanging out as blokes. And I'd never really experienced that before. But most importantly, not ashamed to be able to open the Bible and talk about Jesus as blokes.
Yeah, total new experience.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic, and I think when I go back to relationships, that was a really important time in my life because people invested time with me and took the time out.
Yeah, fantastic.
And that's important.
Yep. Well, Damo, thank you for coming and spending time with us on the couch. It's been great to hear a bit more of your story and a bit about your heart and the things that make you tick. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Adam.
We've got one final guest coming up tonight that really excited for you to meet.
Oh, hang on for a sec, Adam.
Damo, you're back, mate. What's going on?
Mate, I feel like I've still got a few questions. I've got to fulfil a couple of questions to ask you, Adam. You've asked plenty of questions of myself, so I wanted to ask some questions of you.
On the couch is my segment, brother.
Okay.
I ask the questions here. You don't, just because I asked you about your question asking doesn't mean you got to turn it back on me and start firing away at me.
Oh, no.
Look, what are you talking about?
I think after 4 weeks or 4 to 5 weeks of doing on the couch, I think we need a bit of a joint partnership in here. So brother, I want to be able to ask you a few questions, and so our viewers can get to know a little bit more about you.
All right, fire away. We'll put the other guests off till next time.
Okay, no worries. So Adam, so tell me, what's your favourite food?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. And what's your favourite drink?
Oh, favourite drink. I'm drinking more coffee than anything else at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Ford or Holden?
I would have always gone the Holden thing. As I look back on my history, I've driven more Fords than Holdens.
Right, okay.
By accident. So,
yeah. What about Coles or Woolworths?
I'm a Cranebrook lad now, so Woolworths, of course. Woolies.
Yeah. Best bit of advice given to you?
When I used to play golf when I was in my late teenage years with Dad and his mates, they would always say, marry your best friend.
Okay.
I took it.
Yeah. Now you're talking about golf. Have you ever had a hole-in-one?
Had a hole-in-one, 13th hole at Cumberland Golf Course, 1991.
Right.
91.
Okay. And what handicap do you have?
Playoff 13 nowadays.
Okay. Yep. NRL or AFL?
AFL.
Okay. If you got to spend 5 or 10 minutes in a GWS change room, who would you want to speak to?
Oh, in the GWS change room. There's a good call there. Now I'm stuck. Now I'm throwing around Canelio, Jezza, Toby Green. He's a troublemaker, but he's good fun. Sam Taylor. He's the one I want to talk to because that's the same name as my wife, and I wanted to get a photo of him and my Sam next to each other, the two Sammy Taylors.
Yeah.
There you go.
GWS win the grand final. How does Adam Taylor react?
Well, hopefully better than when the West Tigers won the grand final in 2005. I got on a push bike the next morning to ride into the office at Liverpool, down to church at Liverpool. Hadn't been on a bike for quite a number of years. Just tightened the straps on the backpack, grabbed hold of the brake. Just hadn't checked which was the front and which is the back brake, and grabbed the front brake and went straight over the handlebars. I've still got chain marks on my Tigers jersey from that. I'd be pumped. I'd be pretty excited. I'd probably be hanging out and jumping around crazy with the Hayes family and the Gardner family, I suspect, because we've spent a bit of time going to Giants games over the last 5 years.
Yeah. Now, in regards to ministry, how long have you been at Tom's?
This is our 11th year here.
Yep. And can you recall funny time, a funny time that you've been behind the lectern giving a sermon?
Funny time behind the lectern. Oh.
I think I've got him stumped here.
Don't know. A funny time behind the lectern. I tell you when I have been particularly noticed. One day I wore my surplice to church, which is the long white gown that ministers used to wear. And so at the start of the service, I was there in the surplice, and no one knew what to do. Everyone came and spoke to me about what on earth's going on. So that was a fair bit of fun. It's a bright white one, and it was really to show that Jesus takes our sins and gives us his purity.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was memorable anyway.
Yeah. Favourite song?
Favourite song? Probably something in the Chisel range.
Yeah.
Yeah, old cold Chisel
Yeah.
range.
Can you do a bit of a rendition?
No. No. Music's good to listen to, and not good for me to be singing to.
Right. Yeah. Now, if I had Sam and the girls here right now, what sort of embarrassing stories do you reckon they'd have about yourself?
Embarrassing stories about me. Yeah, pretty bad. The whole singing, dancing type thing doesn't work. TikTok, got no idea, just hopeless. And the 4 different things that came before TikTok, can't do.
Yeah.
Uncoordinated. No good.
Yeah. Imagine you're playing Monopoly.
Yes.
Right, and you've got Mayfair, and someone else is Park Lane, and Park Lane.
I've got both.
No, you needed to get Park Lane to win.
To destroy everyone?
Yeah.
Yep.
What would you sell for it?
It's a pretty dominant spot. It's a bit hard to tell, Damien, but let me assure you, if I didn't get it, and even if I was losing, I wouldn't flip the board and storm off.
And
Shall I go back to asking the questions at this point?
And finally, mate, who's going to win this year's NRL Premiership?
NRL Premiership. Oh, well, I believe they're changing some of the tackle rules so that the more skillful, fast teams will rise to the top. So, West Tigers.
Okay.
2020. Great vision.
Brother, thanks for spending the time with me on the couch, and maybe we can do this as a partnership moving forward.
Thanks, Damo. Thank you for turning the camera back on me. And to take us out, Josh Vincent's got a song for us called Echo, and he's going to take us out tonight. Thanks, Josh.
This next song's called Echo. It's an empty feeling that's growing deep inside, constantly revolving in the back of your mind. So many times you tried to fill this void within your soul. So many times you wondered, is it more than meets the eye? They meet the eye. Someone's calling out, sometimes whispering, it's resonating through the trees, leaning radiantly, pierce the darkest night. The devil hear, the blind will see. So I'll take this sound, take it to the world, till the not knowing where to turn. Ever wondered what truth is? To feel the depths inside. Have you found the answer to the questions in your head? Have you found the answer to the fire that's burning inside? That burns inside. Someone's calling out, sometimes whispering. It's resonating through the trees, gleaming radiantly, pierce the darkest night. That they will hear, the blind will see. So I'll take the sound, take it to the world, until the wild hears said to me. Words so full of hope, to a Savior's blood, echoing what He's shown me. I think I found the answer to the questions in your head. Give life real meaning, feel the dark real light, light that shines so brightly, hope that brings life to me, knowing where I'm going, a life that's made complete, that's made complete. Someone's calling out, sometimes whispering. It's resonating through the trees, gleaming radiantly, pierce the darkest night. That they will hear, the blind will see. So I'll take the sound, take it to the world, until the wild hears said to me. Words so full of hope, sealed with Savior's blood, echoing what He's shown me. Echo the truth in the darkness of night. Echo of peace in a world full of madness. Echo of hope in a world full of sadness. Sharing the sound to a world without hope, without love. Someone's calling out, sometimes whispering. It's resonating through the trees, gleaming radiantly, pierce the darkest night. That they will hear, the blind will see. So I'll take the sound, take it to the world, until the wild hears said to me. Words so full of hope, sealed with Savior's blood, echoing what He's shown me. Yeah. That they will hear, the blind will see. Thank you.
Well, to wrap up tonight's show, it's payback time for Damo. On the couch is on the move at the Crenendonks. Damo! Let's pay back. You took over the couch, I've come to your place.
Oh, welcome.
How are you, brother?
Yeah, good.
Take us to your couch.
Yeah, no dramas. Come on in.
Thanks, mate. Well, the hallowed ground of the borough.
Well, I've got a couple of couches, but this is one of my favourites. And obviously this is the Burrow. As you can see, it's very comfortable. It's got a lot of my things that I love with my football team. So yeah, it's certainly a welcoming place if you are a football fan. So yes, a lovely surprise anyway, Adam.
Now, Damo, grab a seat, mate. Grab a seat. Get yourself comfy, mate. Tell us, is this where you do church, Zoom church, or do you just get a cuppa and lounge back in bed and watch it there?
Well, look, I should confess. we actually have a couple of places where we actually do church. The first week of the isolation, we actually did do it in bed. We actually decided the next week that we wouldn't do that. That we need to be able to conduct ourselves probably in a little bit better fashion. So yeah.
A little bit better fashion. That sounds bad. So why did you make the decision not to just lounge back in bed?
Purely probably just probably more or less. I could just see ourselves getting into a bad habit. I think that we felt probably a lot more comfortable probably sitting actually at a table or actually at a lounge, that we could actually pay probably a little bit more attention, and I think we needed to be able to. We didn't want it to be seen in bed, I guess.
Yep, beautiful. Well, brother, thank you for letting us in. You invaded my interview space. I've invaded your house. We look forward to being back with everyone at church soon. But thank you for joining us not once, not twice, but 3 times for this episode of On the Couch.
Thank you.